Okay, I got nothing else to add to that. Just
No, I
sit
don't
and
either.
observe. Yes,
I think we need to spend the last half hour on that gym you had me fucking pick up the other day.
Okay, so World War III, the game I've been talking about for months. It's finally free to play. The first season just came out, and I forced Ray to play it because I needed his opinion.
And my opinion is just... all
Okay,
right.
Ray, what's your opinion about this game?
Before I completely sit here and tear this game apart, I'll just make this point abundantly clear now. I don't hate it. I see that it's got potential to it, but it needs so much polish. So much polish. And I don't know how big the development team is. So I couldn't even...
Not that big. I think they're less than 100 developers.
So, okay, it might get the level of polish that I personally feel that it needs. But even for me to be like, it's at Battlefield 4 standards at launch polish levels, which isn't even that great. It needs a lot. Like, first and foremost, the shooting in that game. What the fuck is up with that recoil? I mean, I'm being 100% dead serious because, like, you open up full automatic fire, like, you're pulling away like the dude has never fired a gun before in his entire life. So, like, burst fire is pretty much all you've got. It's very clunky. It's very janky. It seems like some of the damage points are very inconsistent. I've shot people, like, I go for headshots a lot, and I know when I get hits because the hit game gives me this beautiful thing called a hit marker. So I have shot people in the head in that game like 4 different fucking times, and they get like a headshot and a core shot and a fucking limb shot off on me, and I'm dead. Which, that's wrong. I mean, that could be a netcode error, but I mean, that's a whole other topic in of itself.
I think I know what might possibly happen in those certain situations. I don't know if you checked the equipment and everything you have. You can equip helmets that take a bit more damage than usual.
So of course, it's a feature.
Yeah, but if you equip those, that means your gear and your stats are heavier. That means you can carry less shit. So you might become more tanky, but in return, you're
literally becoming tanky.
Yeah, you're slow, or you can't carry some, 2 big weapons. You have to carry one, and majority you can carry a pistol if you can even. So yeah, they have a weight system that you can equip more armor, you can equip better helmets, but in return
it comes at a cost.
Yeah, you sacrifice mobility or equipment. But that's what I'm guessing what happened.
Which, okay, cool, fine, then working as intended. But it was still not knowing. That is highly frustrating, because when I shoot a motherfucker in the head, I expect the motherfucker to die. You know what I mean? If I'm gonna put fucking 5 rounds in a motherfucker's head, it better die. Which didn't happen in a lot of instances, and sometimes it did. Sometimes the headshots worked flawlessly. Sometimes they didn't. I did not record any footage, so I have absolutely no video evidence in order to back this up. So, take my word. The netcode being incredibly horrible, but I mean, we bounced between 2 different servers, local to me, local to you, and I could tell when I was playing on a European server. I could tell. Like, getting shot around the corner is just about as bad, if not worse, than what Battlefield was at one point in time, which is infuriating. To me, and I kind of feel like I kind of hate saying this, but it really kind of feels like a not so polished, semi-bad mix between Call of Duty, Arma, and Battlefield. And some people are going to be like, Arma for real? Well, yeah, because fucking friendly fire is a thing. And that's going too far up into the term of realism, and it makes me feel like this game just does not know what it wants to be. It doesn't. Does it want to be like that real hyper realistic shooter, or does it want to be more like Battlefield, or it's got elements of Call of Duty mixed in there? I mean, there's fucking kill streaks for crying. I mean, they're not really kill streaks. They're points perks, I guess. Like UAVs and airstrikes and shit like that. So it's like it's a very bad amalgam of those three games. I just don't like it. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I mean, I'm sure eventually when it gets some more love, it'll be better. But I don't. It's not my cup of tea, man. I mean, it's fucking tank. Fucking your turret shell, your turret glass cracks and breaks. I mean, it was kind of a cool feature that you got to actually sit in a seat on the tank and hang outside of it in order to repair it. That was kind of cool. But at the same time, you're making yourself vulnerable. But that was a problem with Battlefield. But the thing with Battlefield is if you're repairing a tank, you can move around the tank. You can get behind the tank for cover and keep repairing it. You can't do that in this game, and that's fucking infuriating.
You can, but the problem is when you go out, when you go out, right, of the vehicle, you can be next to the tank and press, to whip out the repair tool, even though it's not a thing you can equip. You can just whip out just because there's an option. So you can whip out, but the problem is it's too slow. It's very slow, and sometimes not even any point repairing. You might as well try to, pull back the tank.
So it's one of those things where it's like it's more lucrative in order to try and repair a vehicle from inside the vehicle, like what it appears like they want you in order to do, which is not. I don't like it.
Yeah, but okay. Here's the thing. I like the game. I like the ideas they're going for, and I've been praising what they've been doing for months now. I think the foundation is there, but that being said, I do agree that the game is lacking focus. I did describe the game a mix between a Battlefield game and Arma, so it's in that nice middle between Battlefield and Arma. Yeah, with some Call of Duty
some little elements of Call of Duty sprinkled on here and there. And I mean, it's kind of a weird amalgam. Like I said, it's not bad, but right now it's not good either. Or but again, somebody can be, it's fucking beta state. What do you want? Yeah, I know, I get that, but I guess I kind of expected more with what hype I was getting out of it. So I did it to myself again. My fault. My bad.
No, I still think it's a good game. It's just. But I do agree that you said that it doesn't have the focus. Yeah, I agree. It doesn't have the focus, mostly because I don't remember if I said on the podcast. Maybe I said it was on the previous podcast when I had Andre on, because we were talking about World War 3 alone on one of the episodes. It was when the beta came out, and I think I mentioned on the podcast that the maps are too big for 40 players. Sometimes I don't know if you felt that, but sometimes it feels a bit empty.
Yeah, it felt like there was nobody around. Yeah, I thought that was just me.
So I always said that the maps are too big for 40 players. At least you can increase it to 60. Here's the thing: when the game came out, 2018, when Battlefield 5 came out, 2018, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So roughly around that time when the game came out, this game is so much better is right now what it was 2018. That's just a fact, just pure facts. But it's just even I think back then they had 60 players. I think they reduced it to 40 players now. Could be for optimization reasons or whatever reason.
Netcode reasons, whatever. Because it does have it. I don't want to hammer on it again, but I mean clearly it does have its damn netcode issues.
But it's. Even though they lowered the player numbers, something clear they never really worked on. They haven't changed the game mode itself. The game was still the same as it was 2018, and the maps can be big, but you need to find a balance. Try to force players to go into specific sections.
Yeah, you've got to funnel your players into certain sections in order to force combat in order to happen, and that's where practiced map design comes into play.
I think
it doesn't seem like it has it.
I mean, the easiest way is to remove certain objectives and maybe remove of two objectives and just make it a bit more streamlined.
Here's another thing that they could do, and this is my big argument. If you're going to have a multi-tier map, reduce that damned fall damage. I'm serious. That was one thing that annoyed the shit out of me. Was you can't jump off of and it's not even it's a 10. It's a 10-foot fucking balcony. And you can't even jump off of it without breaking an ankle. It's you don't. Are we? I mean, if you can't, why would you? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense because if you're getting yourself in a situation where you have to get out of somewhere real quick, and it happened to me fall damage will get the best of you, and it's like falling from like a 10-foot fucking drop, and you have to do it in order to get out of a firefight because you got fucking surprised. Somebody got the drop on you, and you just die from fall damage.
Well, here's the thing. I don't have an opinion about fall damage itself because it kind of slows the game down in a sense because it will not make people jump around everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta kind of think about where you're going. I mean, I get that if that's the direction that they want to go because again, that's the Arma element that's kind of sinking in there, where it's the hyper realism part of it, just like with friendly fire. I had a player get taught a very hard lesson about friendly fire because I come around a door and he put like 3 in my chest, and I switched over to the pistol and shot him in the face one time, and that was the end of him.
Fun.
And then I threw a med bag down next to his corpse just for laughs.
Think about friendly fire. Me and Andre, at first I hated friendly fire, but me and Andre kind of agree that friendly fire is not a problem just because the way it's balanced, because you can't really kill a friendly with a friendly fire in this game unless you actually put effort in. Because, for example, Call of Duty or Battlefield in that matter, if you play
that
like
dude must have been hurting because I shot him in the head once.
Yeah, he was probably low. Yeah, so you need effort. You kind of need to put half of the mag to kill a friendly. From what me and Andre tested it. I think it's in the video, one of the videos I posted. Yeah, it takes a lot of effort to kill someone, in that game. Unlike Battlefield Call of Duty, if you play a hardcore mode,
it's
if
like
you shoot
1
them
or
in
2 rounds and you're fucking dead.
Yeah, because it shares the same damage model as was a normal enemy player. In this game, you have more health when you shoot them, or at least your damage is reduced when you shoot a friendly. So you actually need to put half of the mag. With me and Andre tested, we were shooting each other to the fucking head, like each other. Like, can we shoot each other?
Can we kill each other to death?
Yeah. Can we shoot each other at our heads and just see what kind of results we're gonna get? And it took us a fucking while to kill each other. So if you want to kill someone, you need to commit. And also in the way it works, if you do hit a friendly, you do get minus points. I don't know if you noticed, but
there's a discouragement in there.
Yeah, so you get a big ass red eye, notification minus whatever.
You hurt your teammate. I mean, I kind of like that because it discourages somebody from just blind firing down a hallway into a bunch of friendlies and using them as like bullet shields, because that is a thing in most like arcadey shooters. And I think actually, there was, if I'm going to be completely honest, I think part of the reason why I'm bitching about it so much is because like I'm so accustomed to the way like Battlefield and Call of Duty treat friendly fire that this was just very jarring for me. I wasn't expecting it. Because I didn't realize it at first. I was like, why am I getting hit markers on friendlies? I should not be getting hit markers on friendlies. This is not right. And then I realized I was actually doing damage, and I was like, wait, what? There's friendly fire? Okay, cool. And, the whole incident with the dude corner camping, and I startled him, and he shot me, and I shot him and killed him. Ha, ha, ha. So, I mean, I guess it's kind of like it's a thing that I'm accustomed to, and it was just different. So, mind my boomer-esque complaining about it. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing. But again, this game, it needs more focus. It's got like I agree, like Battlefield 5 movement, very arcadey, just as far as the fall damage goes, that being the main difference, but with like a lot of, Arma hyper-realism mechanics strewn in it, and I don't... It does. It needs focus. I can't say it enough times. It really needs to just like find its identity, hone in on it, and polish the living shit out of itself. And it could potentially be a good game. So I could, potentially in a little bit be eating my words. I kind of hope I will. I don't like seeing projects fail or go downhill. I like, saying, hey, you got a good idea. You got good execution going on there. But, you got to kind of, smooth out the edges and, fine-tune your shit here and there, and you'll get something good out of it. I don't know. And oh my God, the voiceovers. Not that I want to shit on anybody in my own industry, and this has nothing to do with the artists that did the recordings. I would really like to know why my American soldier speaks with a fucking British accent.
No, you can change the voice of your soldier.
Oh.
So you can choose between 12 of them. German, American,
so it's like a
British.
default thing?
Yeah, probably.
Fair enough.
Because
okay.
So remember when I said the game has amazing customization? You can literally customize everything. You can customize gloves, helmets, vests, pants, shoes, guns. Of course, they work equally as any Battlefield or Call of Duty game.
Well, the only real
better.
reason why I brought it up and I mentioned anything about it is because when at the first startup of the game, it asks you, what your nationality is, and I presumed that, after remembering that I made a selection, I would presume that it would have defaulted any and all settings to that nationality, including the localization for it. But it didn't, and that's why I was very jarred and very disturbed when my branded American soldier was speaking with a British accent.
Yeah, because I think the British one's the default one.
Yeah, okay. See, things that make sense. Things we could have worked out if I had a fucking headset at my gaming tower.
Yeah, so like I said, that's back in the day, when the game came out, it was used to be like, NATO forces against Russia. Yeah, since they really released this game like in an open beta and free-to-play mode, they removed the factions. So it's not factions, it's literally Team Red and Team Blue. That's all it is. So with that, there was no point, having any, limitations to your soldier. You want to be Russian? You can be Russian. You want to be American? You can be American.
You can be whoever you want to be.
So you can attach any flag in the world on your soldier, but of course you only have like 12 voice lines because I don't think you can record 198 or how many countries in the world for each country, different voice lines like that.
I mean, it's possible. It'd take up some fucking install space, but it could be done.
Yeah, the game is 80, more like 200 something.
I mean, if that's what they're after, that explains some of the casting calls I've seen these days here as of late. They're wanting all sorts of nationalities going out there about there.
You said something about the shooting. How do you feel about the shooting?
It doesn't feel right. The recoil alone is enough for me to be like, what the fuck? Because it's like amateur hour shooting. I had to tap fire every fucking target I came across. Had to. Otherwise, there was, like, no hitting shit. Just like, sending a magazine down a hallway for suppressive fire. Fuck, you could only keep, like, the first 4 shots on target. And then you gotta fight with it in order to stay on. So, I would just burst fire like I normally do with 3-shot rifles and let the recoil rest back where it needs to before firing the next battery again. But that was... I was not a big fan of that. They need to tighten that up a little bit because it is jarringly, horridly apparent that recoil is way too damn powerful. Now, I'm sure there are some ears out there who would be like, it's fine, you fucking pleb. It's not. Because if you're a trained soldier, guns don't run away from you like that. There is hand positions that you can take on a rifle in order to keep such recoil from happening. Granted, no, you can't unload a whole entire magazine and keep it on target. It's not very easy in order to do, but I expect to get more than like 3 or 4 shots out of the barrel before I am like a whole almost 15, 20 degrees off of my target. And I
do wonder.
Yeah.
I do wonder if it's because it's the attachments, because I think I have like over 40 hours in this game, and attachments.
You fucking no life, no.
Well, that was before it went, before the season started, because it was open beta. They gave me the code, so I'm like, yeah, I'll do my best to, provide the feedback.
Yeah, we'll check it out.
Yeah, I'll do my best to provide the feedback. Attachments do make a huge difference how your gun handles, but you say that because you only play like for a couple of matches.
Like 2 rounds and it's with a fresh character, and this is like fresh experience, and something like that would potentially turn somebody off from that game.
See, this is why a lot of games have a problem. It's not only this game, it's a lot of games, especially Battlefield and Call of Duty. When you have attachments that improve the gun, but your starting weapon is literally the most shittiest, I understand you need to progress and unlock the attachments and so on, but that kind of showcases the problem that I don't think giving the shittiest weapon at the start is a good idea to go with, because a lot of people, get turned off by the idea like that you can't control your weapon, but then you have to force yourself to play with that weapon to unlock an attachment to make it somewhat bearable. I don't think that's a good system.
That alone turned me right off, because And I mean, again, like I agree with you. You know, there is a certain amount that a person should grind in order to get to better things. But the problem is if I'm getting out of the gate and I've got to fight against a bad shooting system, bad netcode, and a lot of bad things, I'm not inclined in order to pick that game back up. Now, if the shooting were a lot more tight, that alone right there would have saved everything, because I could overlook every other problem and go, yeah, that needs to be polished. But that shooting the way it is right now, that is a core humongous flaw that needs to be addressed. Like, I get they want to have good, have their attachment system, make the weapons better. But from the start, I'm sorry to say it, I have seen people, I know people personally who shoot firearms with no foregrip attachments and none of that fancy shit, and they can still keep a tight grouping. And it's, to me, that's going against how a trained soldier can shoot. It should be, you need to emulate what that trained soldier should be able to do out of basic training, which they are trained to fire and keep a tight grouping at up to anywhere from 35 to 50 yards. And if somebody wants to convert that math to metric and put it into subtitles, go ahead. I'm not doing it. But still, it's they're trained. So in order to be in a combat situation, and I am stopped, stanced, knelt, rifle barrel on cover, and I fire, and that damn thing takes off, it's annoying. It's not a feature. It is just, I don't want to deal with it. Like, I like Battlefield's recoil system as much as that game catches shit for the way its recoil works. But I like it. I like Call of Duty's recoil system too. They've mastered that shit over the years. This game needs to get its shit under control before it's just bad.
For comparison, let's say Battlefield. Okay, what do you think about the recoil or spread and everything in Battlefield 2042?
It's you know what, I had, and I think I've gotten a grand total of about 5 or 6 hours into that. I actually thought about sitting down and playing a couple of rounds tonight, but then I realized we had to record this. Haha. But I don't. It's not the best in the world, but it's not bad. You know what I mean? They're controllable.
See, I hated 2042. I hate the recoil patterns. I hate how the spread works. I think the guns feel so artificial and fake. It's when you say World War 3 is amateur hour, I think World War 3 has a better fucking recoil than Battlefield 2042. That's my opinion.
But again, like I said, I haven't put that much time in with 2042 either. Now, if I'm going to sit here and go, which of all the Battlefield games has the better recoil and shooting system, it's a hardcore tie between 3 and 4.
I agree
with
on
5
that, yeah.
maybe in there as well. But actually, the last 4 weren't that bad. 2042 all of a sudden just seemed, I can notice there's like a degradation in it, but I'm a tap fire player. Even with fully automatic weapons. So I don't notice fully automatic recoil that much, and if I'm firing in full auto, I'm doing it at a range where I should be able to do it at hip fire. So again, recoil you don't really notice that much because your subtle adjustments with hip fire translate to a big adjustment at the crosshair, versus aim down sights where the barrel jumps a lot quicker, and you can visually see that a lot easier. So it's the difference in how the playstyle works too, which is what makes me get away with saying some of the shit that I'm saying.
Yeah, and for example, Modern Warfare 219, not Modern Warfare 2022, but 219. That game ruined for me first-person shooters. First-person shooters are ruined for me because I personally think that particular game was the perfect first-person shooter when it comes to shooting mechanics. The animations, the shooting, everything, the movement, I think it's perfect. I think it's like it. Me and Mixie talked about it because we, even 3 years ago when the game came out, we were talking about like, damn, I don't think we can play any other first-person shooters without thinking about this game. And that's true. Every time I play a different first-person shooter, I always think about Modern Warfare 219 because that game ruined everything for me. I know, now I understand what high quality, godly standard is, And so every time I pick up a new first-person shooter, I always compare to that. Does it even come close to that perfection that 219 was? I don't know what kind of shit and drugs they were smoking at Infinity Ward before that game came out, but holy shit, I want it. Like, the game, even for example, Modern Warfare 2, this year's Modern Warfare 2022.
Modern Warfare 2, 2022.
Yeah, whatever. This year's. It's still the same mechanics, the same shooting, but you can tell that they made some adjustments to balance certain weapons out. If you know, you can't really laser beam with a assault rifle in the distance and so on, but I get why, but at the same time, it kind of defeats the fun in certain places. I get you need to balance the guns and you make it, interesting to play, you play with all the guns and you make it unique from each other. I get, but it kind of lost its charm because it's kind of frustrating. Like you said, like when you look at a guy, like let's say 60, 70 meters, right, away from you, and you try to shoot him and your fucking bullets are like spraying everywhere and you can't hit him.
There's deviation.
Yes.
Yeah, therein lies the problem. See, but there's a difference. There is a difference between bullet deviation and misaiming because of recoil. So let's not get it twisted. So what deviation is you have a firearm clamped, meaning recoil cannot affect it other than horizontal recoil, which is basically just the force of the projectile pushing against the barrel and all the pressure of it and all that other fun shit. So if nobody has any idea about firearm dynamics, you're about to get like a really cheeky lesson real quick. So there's a difference, like I said, between horizontal recoil and vertical recoil. Vertical recoil is when the barrel wants to jump after the projectile leaves. It's an after effect of the horizontal recoil. But again, if you bolt a firearm down, okay. There's only one way, there's two ways actually, realistically, that those bullets could deviate from target. A slight deformation in the barrel because you're firing too quick before everything in the firearm has settled, or aerodynamics itself of the bullet, which military firearms, military weaponry have like such a high grade standards as far as aerodynamics go. Deviation is not a normal thing. If for the most part you point a rifle where you're going to shoot it, if you miss your target 99% of the time, it is because you misaimed. It's not really necessarily the rifle. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I mean, AKs are notorious for having really bad deviation because of the way their barrels like to move around after it's been fired for a good minute. Not submachine guns, but belt-fed machine guns have this. So but a bolt-action rifle, which has very few moving parts, you fire that damn thing, the only time that bullet's going to deviate is with wind or any kind of deformation. Again, and somebody else will probably be, in the comment section will jump in and probably refine what I've said, but for the most part, I'm mostly on point as far as how it goes. So, to have such a horrendous recoil system, and again, I stress it from a character that is implied to be a trained soldier, it's really just stupid for me. Now, if this were a game where it was like survivalists, civilians that are shooting these firearms and it had that kind of recoil to it, I'd forgive that. I'd be like, because this is not a trained soldier that is firing a fully automatic rifle. This is a fucking civilian that, unless they were trained with firearms, would not be able to fire like a trained soldier. I mean, is everybody picking up what I'm putting down here? So, like, if you're going to say that your characters are these hardened, battle-ready, trained soldiers, then they need to be able to handle fucking recoil.
How you feel about the HUD in the game?
I kind of like it. It's
user
not
interfaces one.
It's not too overcrowded. Some of the interactivity to it, as far as like the input and the input lag to it, is a little bit weird. But I didn't get a chance to delve too much into customization. I kind of just hopped into a lobby with you, and we just kind of went off and did our thing. But as far as like the player heads up display goes, I think the only thing that I would say needed to be changed is the information that's in the bottom left-hand corner. That needs to kind of be like blown up just a little bit, not much, but just enough so that your health bar and everything's a little bit more prominent down there. And find a way to make the text stand out a little bit, because especially on that one snow map that we were playing, it was fucking hard in order to read the UI in some places. But if I would go into a building, I could see it. So I shouldn't have to look into a building in order to look at my UI. And I know that's a tricky thing in order to do. So that, again, a polishing thing that they'll have to, get around to doing. So I kind of like it. It wasn't too overcluttered. It was easy in order to, figure out what the situation was, what the game was trying to tell me. Orders being relayed. I liked it. I give it a 7 out of 10 on that one. The concept is good. The execution so far as the UI goes, is good. It, again, like the rest of the game, it just needs polish.
I agree about the HUD. My only complaint about the HUD, it's always been since they started the open beta or closed beta. It's the kill notifications when you kill someone. I think it's a bit too much because I don't know how to explain, but it just feels like something happens between you shooting at a player and killing him. It's like, it's such a weird effect they have because it comes like the digitized banner, whatever you want to call it, that you kill the player, which is fine. That's great. I love to see banners of the players I killed. Like, that's fantastic. But it's just that effect, that digital effect that comes in when you shoot, and it just feels like you're like skipped a frame or something. Like it has that feeling that you skipped a frame when you kill the player. So I don't know how to explain, but it's just like, if they can just like remove the effect and just keep the banner, like let the banner pop out, something like that, or just like fade in or something, because I really don't like that effect they have. Like, I don't mind that you're going for the digital effect, like, certain games love to go for, because, hey, it's modern, it's futuristic, or whatever you want to call it. Like,
everything's digital.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I really don't like that effect of when you kill a player, because it just feels like you're skipping a frame and just really, really annoying.
No, you want to talk about annoying. The thing that really annoys, and above and everything else, and this goes to anybody who's trying to make a video game. Port 1 does not mean primary monitor. I'll fucking say it again. Port 1 for monitor display does not equate to primary monitor. Please
for the
stop
listeners.
Having your goddamn games render only on port 1.
For the listeners, can you explain what was the problem?
I, like so many other people in this country, have a computer with more than one monitor hooked up to it, okay? I have a monitor hooked up via HDMI, which I have designated as my primary monitor because that is my 1080p monitor. I also have a 1680 monitor next to it that I will use for text reading. I will sidestep Photoshop. I will break windows off in Reaper or whatever I am working for, because having two monitors to do work is substantially better and more streamlined. I don't care what anybody says. The problem is, and I have seen this on games that are developed at the highest echelon as well as independent, that automatically assume because I have my monitor plugged into my serial port on my graphics card, which is designated port 1, that is the fucking monitor I constantly use. And what's more insulting is when they put video graphics settings in that ask me what monitor I want it to render on, and it still doesn't fucking render on that monitor. It is annoying. It pisses me off, and I'm pretty sure in some way it forces your game to run like shit, because now instead of running at 1080p, which you've probably set it for, it now has to scale for a 1680 monitor and give me fucking bars like I'm watching an old movie. Just stop it. Stop it. If you're going to put those fucking settings in, make sure they work. If you're not, take it out and go off the NVIDIA or the graphics card settings that say which monitor is designated primary through the fucking operating system. It's not that hard. It's just lazy coding when you don't do it. I am now getting off of my soapbox.
Which Windows you're running, though?
10.
Oh, okay. Then I don't know why is that a problem, yeah.
It happens with a lot of games. Like Tetris, the one Tetris game that her and I like to play. If I want to output it on my television set and sit with controllers in my living room, I have to fight for 20 fucking minutes in order to get it to output before I finally concede, and I got to go in my graphics card settings and disable my other two fucking monitors to get it to work. It's annoying.
Yeah, that's
game developers, if you're fucking listening, get it right, or don't do it at all.
Annoying. Yeah, that's ugh.
I like doing that sometimes. I like put out Death Stranding is an example of a game that does it quite fucking well. When I say, hey, Windows, the TV is now my primary monitor, Death Stranding will fire up and go, hey, this is the monitor you're using. We're going to go on that one. Okay? Battlefield fucking gets it. If I want to play Battlefield on my TV for whatever goddamn reason or off my side monitor, I can tell Windows that that's the monitor I want it to do, and the game will fucking render on it. But there's so many games, especially on Xbox Live, where it's just like, fuck, do you assume that people only have one goddamn monitor because it's a console base? You shouldn't do that. And whatever monitor I tell Windows I want it to output on should be what it fucking does.
When you say Xbox Live, you mean like all the games that got
Game
ported?
Pass, sorry.
Oh, okay.
There's so many games on Game Pass that have that problem, and it's heartbreaking. Scorn was like that. Scorn, fucking brand new game, would not output on my 1080p monitor, no matter what I fucking told it. And I'm sorry, if I gotta go into my graphics card settings and disable my other two monitors because of janky bad programming, I'm not inclined to continue playing that game, because then I wonder what the fuck else is wrong. If that basic shit can't be gotten right, then I'm worried about what other basic shit wasn't gotten right, and I don't want to be in for that fun.
Fair enough.
And yes, I am going to stop sounding like a cranky old man. But it's true. It's annoying. It's fucking highly annoying. And anybody who has ever had to experience that shit, please leave a comment down below so I know I'm not alone.
That's why we have this podcast, right?
That's right. Join the discussion.
Well, I should link the Discord, actually, just people could join. Anyway, regarding last couple of minutes of the podcast, and anything else that sticks out regarding the game? Any positives, negatives, anything neutral?
No, I think that was the last thing that royally did that. Well, that wasn't the last thing. It was the first thing that royally pissed me off, because the insulting part about it is it showed like the production slide where it tells you what studios develop it and shit. It rendered that on my 1080p monitor, and then it jumped over to my other monitor. That's even more insulting.
That's weird.
Yeah, I was like, wait, why are you doing what the fuck? You were there and now you were here. Then all you did was change screens. Yeah, fuck. But other than that, I mean, it's like I've said multiple times, it's got potential. It's there. The ideas are there, but they need to be refined. They need to, be ground down a little bit more. They need to be polished and fine-tuned. It needs a lot of work. I see the potential in it. I'm not down in that. I mean, if it could be a good shooter. It could be a good cult shooter. It really could be. Hell, in some of your arguments, it probably already is, but it could get better. So there's room for improvement. I hope they continue to improve it. I would think they will, considering it's in an open beta form right now. So
they removed the open beta as soon as Season 1 came out.
They better tell Steam that. Because Steam still says it's in beta. But at any rate, yeah, I mean, it could be done. I hope they're not jumping. I hope the only reason why they're doing seasons and trying to somewhat jump into monetization is so that they can fund the project, which I respect. I'm fine with that. I mean, the game's got a good customization system, so clearly there's a good market there for good monetization if, the fan base wants to partake in that, and I'm sure there will be some that will. And like I said, yeah, it's got the guppins in order to be a good, cult first-person shooter. I don't see it ever, getting to, like, Battlefield, Call of Duty heights. It possibly, but the odds are not in its favor, not in its current state.
Yeah, I think it's because it's trying to appeal to a certain niche, which is fine. But yeah, if you're aiming for those type of games, yeah, you kind of need to be a bit more mainstream.
I think it's kind of aiming for those people that are just like, Arma is too hard and Battlefield and Call of Duty is too easy. So I mean, this is kind of like it kind of bridges the gap a little bit. I could kind of see where that argument could be drawn up. But again, I don't want to say it again. It just needs a lot more polish. That's what sticks out to me the most is its lack of polish.
I forgot what the hell I want to say. Oh, yeah, like you, I think the game has a lot of potential. It's just that, yeah, there's a certain stuff that is really not that good that needs to be polished. But like I said, the map's I think too big. 40 players is fine, but you kind of need to design the game mode around those 40 players.
I do like its linking system for Conquest. That was kind of a neat idea. I do like that.
Cool.
And I don't know if that's if it's original or not, but I mean, I kind of feel like it stole the idea from Chainlink from Battlefield 4. Haha. Yeah, anybody remember that shit? I do.
I do hope I know they said they're making new game modes. I do hope they introduce some linear game modes. Hello, cat. Cat that is on the table. I do hope they introduce like linear game modes, like Chain Link, for example, and can force those players to like it will create a nice balance instead of using the whole map and everyone is spread out everywhere with no front lines. Whatever.
I didn't notice. Does it happen to have like what would be considered a rush mode? Because I didn't see that. All I saw was like team deathmatch and your regular open map shit. So like that, I could see that game pulling off quite well.
Yeah. So
because you're taking these maps that really aren't that good, they're too big for the player counts that they have, but you could easily divvy those up, make them linear sections, and have like a really good like rush or a quote unquote operations out of it, and it would work because you're condensing your whole player base into one fighting area, which is what it kind of needs. So a rush mode would work great in that game. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, actually, I would like to see like a smaller game mode that's just like 12 on 12 or something like that. See how that works. Would be a really interesting experience. But yeah,
like a squad conquest.
If they really want like a quick solution to the problem, like me being a producer at the game. Okay, Kat, I need to move you away from the microphone. Okay, me being a producer at Farm 51, I will just say remove one or two objectives from the map and try to force players to go somewhere like together, like create some sort of front lines, because right now it's just everything spread out. It has good flow, but it's just like sometimes it's just like, where's everyone?
It's too low player count for too big of a map in order to get shot in the back randomly because you're not expecting it in order to come.
Or by a vehicle or something like that, and then you can't really do anything about it.
Yeah, and oh my god, the vehicle sound effects! Please fucking get those fixed.
Yeah, the certain sort of sound effects of certain vehicles. For helicopters, it's fantastic. For tanks, is...
Yeah, and the gunfire foley really needs some work because...
Yeah, the sound effects for the vehicles, they do need a bit of like redesign or something like that, because some of them sound either too quiet or basically non-existent.
Or they don't sound right. And,
or they don't sound right,
but that falls into a polish thing. It needs sound design polish too while it's at it. So it's like... We're not saying it's bad. What we're saying is it's got potential. It just needs more. It needs more time. It needs way more time in the oven.
Yeah, and it has some amazing mechanics that I think that they're really good. But yeah, like we said before, lack of focus.
The cake tastes good. I mean, the mix of the flavors is all right. It's not bad, but I want to see the end result. I want to see what the final cake is going to be like. What the icing is going to be like. So to speak. That's the best analogy I could come for as far as how I feel about it. I like how the batter tastes. Let's cook it and see how it ends.
Yeah. So other than that, I really don't know. Got nothing else to add to this conversation. Other than that, I just hope it's not going to be fully abandoned. People give. Although I do have to mention something that kind of pisses me off sometimes with certain gamers. So when it comes to video games, like any video game that is online shooter, developers only have one chance to impress a gamer. Only one chance. It doesn't matter how well the game is, improved, or how much content they added to the game and so on. It only has one chance to impress a gamer. If it doesn't impress on the first go, the game is doomed. There's only a few games that managed to break that stigma, but mostly because...
It was a very big uphill battle from developers that could afford the marketing in order to pull it off.
Yeah, the games that managed to break that stigma are the ones that...
Sorry, I had something at the back of my throat.
Yeah, it's the games that actually, or studios that were literally bleeding money with a They were literally gambling, thinking, no, we believe in this product, we still believe this game is fantastic.
Let's keep throwing money at it until it works.
Yeah, we just know that people just need to know about this game and give it a chance.
And as an independent developer, you don't have that luxury.
Yeah. So when the game came out, and still people don't want to give this game a chance, like, look, it has its problems, yes, of course, but like any other fucking video game. But it's free. It's not that big compared to other games. it would be nice if people give a chance, but again, like if you don't like the game, it's fine. At least you give it a chance. That's the thing. At least you gave it a chance. And there's a lot of people like skipping certain games, not only this game, but all other games, because they had a rough launch or something did not work, and it's just they don't want to give it those games a chance again, and it's just kind of sad, and they just die out without
Part of the problem is because the market is so, and I kind of hate saying this, but the market is so goddamn saturated thanks to independent developers. And I'm not saying that that's a problem that they created, but I mean, oversaturation was going to be inevitable between how often AAA publishers are releasing, how many independent developers are out there. I mean, there is a lot of saturation. So, yeah, I agree. You got, if you're an independent developer and you're trying to put something up on Steam, I mean, you got that one shot to make the impression. And yeah, if it's not a good impression, I would not expect that player in order to come back. Like me, I don't expect me in order to come back. I might. I'll keep an eye on it from a distance, but as far as playing that game again between now and the time the final product hits, it probably won't happen. Because if I continue to bang my head against it, I'm only going to get frustrated with it more and more. Eventually, I'm going to have that mentality of it, well, this shit's never going to get fixed, so moving on. And a lot of gamers skip that and just go, well, cool, but this still works. This is the old, the tried and true horse that I've been riding for years now. This new horse has got kind of a weird gimp leg and it doesn't know how to run yet, so I'm going to stick with the horse that I have been riding because I know it'll get me where I need it to go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.